Got your hat going there, 1974. I mean, you're teasing me about being old. Look at that, 74. You realize that's when bell bottoms were first invented?
Hey, that's my birth year.
Listen, I'm telling you.
He ain't born the same year. He's like 79.
Listen, yeah, correct.
What's the 74?
It's
It's
the
an
atomic.
alloy.
It's the atomic number of tungsten. Duh. I mean, everybody
all know
knows
that.
that.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah. I mean, how do you think we got 74 alloys?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
You
not
don't
a
know your
metallurgist.
periodic table?
No.
You're not.
I mean, I
what'd
know
you say?
periodically some of it.
Powder metallurgy.
Periodically.
Is that something in English?
He's like power metallurgy.
Periodic
power
table. Is that
metallurgy.
like sentence structure?
Yeah.
I'm good with English.
Well, my mind is atrophying.
My mind is atrophying too.
Okay. Well,
My
This
mind is a
pod-
trophy.
this pod is atrophying right now. So
Pod.
welcome
Yeah.
to another
Welcome.
episode of the Misfits Social Podcast.
74 alloys.
As we inject
74.
anti-atrophy.
Anti-atrophy.
Making up words. I love making up words. Let's try this.
We're gonna talk Trump, immigration, and
The stranger.
the stranger. Like the move the stranger.
You're just
or
throwing it in
like
there.
where you sit on your right hand.
And the stranger.
Okay.
I'm
stranger.
lost. I
Yeah.
missed
Yeah, you are lost on
the
that one.
stranger.
Yeah, but if we keep going, you'll have questions.
Yeah.
I have questions.
Wheels have come off.
All right, so let's talk immigration a little bit. First thing is this great country of the United States is a country that is founded on immigrants, yeah?
Yes.
We can agree on
My
that.
grandparents didn't learn English until they went to school.
Are you kidding me? What did they speak?
Finnish and Swedish.
Wow. What years did they immigrate?
Late 1800s,
Okay.
90s, probably 1890s.
Okay. What about, do you know any of your family's immigration history?
I'm just still laughing at the joke I wanted to tell him about.
Oh my God.
But I'm just moving on. My people on my mother's side is Cherokee, not far. So we have Native American on my mom's side, and then my dad's side.
So
is,
your
saying you're
mom's
not-
side is not an immigrant.
You're saying you're not an immigrant.
This is your land.
I have
This
some
land is
some
my
Native
land.
ancestry, and on my dad's side is English and possibly Scottish. My wife tapped into some Ancestry.com that went back to, I think, Birmingham, England in the 1500s.
Oh, you did the deal?
She did. Not any genetic stuff. But
No,
just-
remember he said the
just-
other day he wasn't giving his DNA
Oh,
away.
I'm not
that's
giving
right.
my DNA away. No,
He has crimes he has
Yeah,
yet
he's
to
not.
commit.
I'm not gonna have somebody get my saliva off of Diet Dr Pepper, put me in the jail.
They can get it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Historic Crimes by
Yeah.
Royce Wilson.
Yes.
I mean, I have nothing to hide, but it's like I don't want people to
Sure,
have my DNA.
All right. So both sides of my family are
Yeah.
English, and immigrated in the late 1800s. Is where my family came from. So I
Well,
can't
at least
run
you didn't
from
have
the
to learn a
Englishness.
language.
Yeah. So I think it's important to note, since we're going to talk about immigration, that that's what this country was founded on.
Yes.
Now, we could go back further. That's probably another pod to talk about what happened after immigrants started landing here. That's another atrocity for another time.
Certainly.
But definitely something that should be discussed. But want to talk about Trump, what's going on with immigration, give our opinions on, do we feel like it's being successful, and how are we measuring that success? Is it just measured by, hey, let's get everybody out of here? What does that look like? What's the target? And where are we really going? Do we even know where we're going, or are we just trying to get as many people on the bus as possible?
I've not heard any historic information about illegal immigration, say in the 1800s or the early 1900s. Like, you wonder if that was a thing. It's just we don't know about it.
Okay, well, I've got a
But
stat for you.
You do?
Yep. So in the 1820s, immigration was actually fairly low. And most of the immigrants that were coming in, that was known as the frontier expansion. So that was, if you look at the phases of immigration. That was the frontier expansion.
Paul lived through that.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
you probably.
I was on the chuck wagon.
That was right before you were running the Conestoga or whatever.
he was riding in the
I don't smoke
Conestoga
those. I don't smoke
Yeah.
those. I don't know what that is.
before he had the big old wooden ladle, just stirring that big old soup,
stirring
that
that pot.
soup bucket
Yeah.
in the Conestoga.
So that was.
I have skills too, though. At least I can change a tire on a wagon. You guys,
It's true.
you know,
It's true. He would stir the stew, and then he would keep watch.
All right. So the average number of foreigners who enter the United States from 1820 to this only went to 2012. So this number is not going to be quite right. And this is according to the PRB.org. 110,000 foreigners enter the United States per day.
what
Is
day?
what the average is. Now,
Currently,
Day?
that's what it says. That
Oh
doesn't
my
seem right.
gosh.
that's
But
staggering.
No, that's staggering.
Is that
That's like-
traveling or immigrating?
it just says foreigners who enter.
So they could be traveling.
Yeah. So
Okay,
we're
just-
not talking about immigrants. This is just the total number of foreigners who come in and out of the United States. So you think about when you're at an airport and you're going through customs,
Right.
and it says non-U.S. residents, that includes them as
Mm-hmm.
well. All right. So then you have from 1880 to 1920, that's the industrialization immigration phase, which probably is the most significant time. So that's, Paul, when you're talking about your grandparents, well, my great-grandparents, and most of those came from Southern and Eastern Europe. And then the number jumps exponentially. Like it's exponentially in the thousands
From
of
the
people.
20s?
Yeah. Yeah. And then after that industrialization phase, it really drops. Like it drops significant. And the bottom looks like it's somewhere around, of course, in World War II is when it drops. That's when everything kind of flatlines. And then after World War II, somewhere about looks like 55, the number starts steadily climbing again. And it actually never dips back down. It'll have like momentary valleys, but it's on a constant climb from there.
Yeah, I mean, people are coming in all the time. I guess my concern is, this particular season of angst about immigration is about illegal immigration.
Correct.
Right.
Ostensibly,
Yeah.
because some of it is under question too, like
Yeah.
people that have some modicum of viability here are also their status is in question.
Yeah. And then let me give you one more stat for now, and then we can roll on this for a little bit. So going back to 2001 under George Bush, I'm going to read off the total numbers of all the presidents passed up to Biden, and then I'll break those down just a little bit. So George W. Bush, 9.8 million people immigrated under George W. Bush. Under Obama, 7.9. Trump won his first 4 years, 3 million. And then under Biden, 10.4 million.
Whoa.
Now, here's the key factor. That what they refer to as the LPRs, which is the lawful permanent residents that come in, is pretty much flat through all of those, all four presidents. And it's just under 1 million of people who come in the country legally. All right. Now, if you look next to that, Bush's illegal non-immigrant or illegal is
Minuscule.
It's pretty low. It's about double. So it's less than 1 million, but it's about double of what is lawful, right? You tracking with me?
So there were twice as many illegal immigrants.
I'm
as
saying it
legal.
doubles again. So if there was just below 1 million lawful, there's just below 1 million illegal. It's about
1 to
equal
1.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's about 1 to 1, and that stays pretty consistent. Actually, Obama's drops from Bush. So Obama dropped it, and then Trump's first presidency, it dropped even lower, and that was the first time it went way down in the negative of the illegal. So here's the kicker. So under Biden's 4 years, the legal or the LPRs are still the same, just under 1 million. Then in his first year, the illegal jumps up to 1 million. In his second year, it jumps by 2 million. And in his third and fourth years, it's jumped 3 million and then almost 4 million illegal. So while the legals stay the same, that's how much it jumped in his 4 years. Now, most of what I'm looking at is saying that is because of the law that he passed, where you could basically declare at the border that you were an asylum.
There was an app that you could go on, and like 900,000 people entered the United States just by filling out an app, which was basically a temporary work form or something like that.
Yeah.
And these workers came in and never went back. And the government has been sending them letters of late. It's game over. You have to leave by a certain date, which is before the summer.
Yeah, so
that's
basically,
what's happened right now.
Yeah, so basically, if they came across the border and said, "I'm here seeking asylum," they had to either do the app or they would give them a piece of paper.
I see.
And then they could not be arrested. That piece of paper would be filled out. They just came in, so there's no way they have an address. And then they would be told that they would be contacted for a court date at a later period,
How
and
you
then
gonna find all these people?
just allowed in the country.
Yeah.
So that was what CPB Customs or CBP Customs Border Patrol. That's what they had to do. And I actually had a guy that used to be a bartender at the Crowded House that worked on the border, on the southern border. And I was recently at a wedding for my chef, and this young man was there, and he was confirming basically everything.
So in those
that
4
they said.
years, normally 4 million would have come in illegally if it was a 1-for-1.
Over a 4-year period,
Right.
correct.
Now it escalated to where that number was 6 million more than that.
Correct. So like in Biden's last year, you had as many come in his last year as we had come in all the years of Bush.
Wow.
Staggering.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not sure that I know what the negative effects are in the United States. I mean, there's a lot of bluster about criminal activity. I wonder what that does to the economy or, I mean, you don't want anybody to come illegally, but what has been the impact of that influx of people?
Yeah. So for me, well, I've talked a little bit. Royce, why don't you give some thoughts?
Well,
so
crime
far?
is significant. We just recently came through Denver and was hearing stories of a apartment complex that was completely taken over by illegals. I mean, and they let it go for a long time. You kind of wonder why they didn't move sooner. I don't know all the details of it, but
Is Denver a what do they call that?
refuge.
Is it an asylum city?
Yeah,
or
something along. I think so.
Shit, what's the name of that? Think of it here in a minute, but
Refuge city,
like a refugee city where
yeah, Portland,
Yeah.
Seattle as well. And I don't remember exactly where this apartment complex was, but it hadn't been on my radar until I was hearing people talk about it, and they cleaned it out now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think with that you get more drug trafficking, more criminal activity, gang activity. There's a job aspect. I mean, of course, there's a conversation around illegals working jobs that lawful Americans don't want to work.
I mean, they just now had a whole court order about, deporting, I think it was a Venezuelan gang. It was pretty verifiable that they were a part of a gang. So they gathered them up under a war crime thing from 1700s and shipped them out to Venezuela as a judge was blocking it with a court order. Too late.
Yeah,
They
the
landed.
Alien Enemies Act.
Yes, yeah.
sanctuary cities.
Sanctuaries.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Kind of a hark back to the Old Testament.
Yeah, and so Trump is also threatening to pull federal funding now from sanctuary cities, which would be a considerable financial impact.
I mean, are all those on like Section 8 or something? I mean, are they funded? Or
Well,
what?
I mean, when the federal government writes the checks to the states, unless
probably
there's
where that money goes.
there's some accountability, and based on what we've seen from Doge, there's no telling where that money goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the thing that baffles me is just why can't we get unified around what is the legal way to access this country? There shouldn't even be. And I'm like, from a theological, spiritual standpoint, I mean, I'm pro immigration, but I'm not pro illegal immigration. There's a way to do it,
Yeah.
a right way to do it. You can't have a healthy country, secure country with porous borders. You have to,
Correct.
you got to protect that.
Yeah.
You got to manage that well.
Yeah.
And so I think the thing that concerns me is that in the efforts to go about doing that, are we managing the collateral damage from good people, innocent people? Because I'm hearing more and more stories of people who are getting caught up in that too.
Yeah. So to use that phrase, collateral damage, now that there has reached a gag reflex of, okay, enough's enough, and we're going to just go all in on this.
Right.
Now you're having people who maybe paperwork got mixed up.
Yeah. They did everything
maybe they just
right.
got rolled up in some, whatever. So you're having people who are
Decent
collateral
people.
damage because of the rest of all the other criminals, whoever it is, coming in illegal.
And obviously, I mean, I want to make sure we disclaim media bias, right?
Correct.
With media, there's going to be a bias. But it is chilling to see a video of a student just on camera. Did you see that video of just guards just coming and grabbing her and putting her in a van on American soil?
Yeah.
And she's on college, soil, but they just grab her and you can see her distress, and she's in a van and she's gone.
Yeah, I think a lot of that stuff though is anecdotal. I mean, I looked through some of the news clips on this whole stuff, and it's like little story, little pocket story, and we're talking about 10 million people. And then you take an anecdotal picture, a little snapshot here and there. You may not get the entire picture, but yeah, it's an unfortunate position that we're in.
Right.
That some good people are caught up in a bad situation.
Well, and I agree. And I mean, yeah, people's lives are on the line, because some people are asylumed here from dangerous situations at home or abroad where their homes used to be, I should say, political unrest, resistance, whatever. And they came here and some have legal. I've heard a couple of different stories from pastors advocating for people that are a part of their congregations who they know for a fact have done everything right, and it's all been stamped as approved, and they've been removed and sent back to dangerous situations in their previous countries.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying is, like, can we do a better job?
Well,
Right.
let's just say there are 4 million people that really need to. You came here
Go,
in a way that is illegal, and you need to be deported.
Mm-hmm.
Just handling 4 million cases
It's hard.
I mean, how are you going to do it? And then people have been here long enough that they have children, and there used to be an act, and I think that's been annulled or it's a moratorium on it, where if you have a child on American soil, you have certain rights that you didn't have before.
Okay, so I'm gonna just take a side jaunt here. Whose job is it in this country to enforce the laws of the land like this? Is it the executive branch, the judicial branch?
State rights.
Whose law? Who do you believe it's their responsibility to enforce that?
Well, who let them in?
That's what I'm
The
asking.
federal government let them in. Then I think the natural answer first comes to the federal government to course correct.
Yep. So is that, for me, one of my biggest complaints since I've been an adult and paying attention to politics is I feel like pretty much post 9/11, shortly thereafter, probably I would say the debacle of the Iraq War is the main tipping point. Is we've devolved into this government bureaucracy where all of our elected officials refuse to make the hard decisions. They refuse to make the hard decisions. So now what's happening is the only way to get a real decision made is by EOs, executive orders.
Yeah.
That's the only way to really get shit done. And then when that happens, there is collateral damage because the whole concept of debate and being able to have discourse in a conversation is for both sides, even if we're 50-50, for both sides to come together, have that conversation, but still make a decision.
Yeah, but you're guaranteed to be voted out, the next round, and so people aren't going to take that risk.
Yeah.
Well, that's not I don't know that I necessarily agree with that.
That's their fear anyway.
Because the problem is what American do you see right now that's happy that we can't even get a freaking budget passed? I mean, only way to pass the bill is to do the budget is to do some omnibus bill that ends up being, what was the last one that they ended up getting struck down? It was like 4,000 pages. I mean, it was this tall.
Yeah.
I mean, how are you going to know? And it comes
A third of its
it comes to vote a week before
A fiscal cliff.
I mean, you got to have an army of staffers to read through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so all Elon and Trump did, they weren't even in office yet. And they were like, no this is not gonna fly. And it went from a stack of paper like this to a stack of paper like that. And all I want to say, I'm not defending Trump. What I'm saying is whether it was Bush, Obama, Trump 1, or even Biden, I don't feel like it was any of those guys' jobs to dictate that, because we don't have dictators. We have presidents. The law of the land should come from our governing officials.
Yeah.
And they should quit, clean my language up.
Congress,
Quit being soft.
The ineptness of the whole congressional, what should function.
Yeah.
Just doesn't happen.
Yeah. If you want to fight for all this periphery stuff that the majority of Americans don't give a shit about, that's fine. You can still fight for all those rights, but still do your job for the other 99% of the country and get these laws right, so that we don't have to keep having presidents to come in and making executive orders. Because I do think that will lead into dictatorship of some kind.
Yeah,
that's where we're headed.
That's what's happening. That fundamentally is what is called late stage democracy. And we're in that.
Yeah.
Often the freedom and prosperity of a culture and a country has led to a type of choice exhaustion from the populace, so they're not as involved in their citizenry, and they want to hand that over to strong leaders, populist leaders.
Yep.
And then the only way to get anything done, because that whole system is mired in itself and its success, historically speaking, that a dictator is the only thing can get anything done. That's the caution for my brain in the whole thing, is that to get anything done, you almost have to lean dictatorial.
Yep. Yeah.
And
that's a little bit, if you read Roman history, that's a little bit of what they spiraled down into.
Yeah, absolutely. The Senate was nothing more than a figurehead.
Yeah.
Fundamentally after Caesar crossed the Rubicon.
Yeah. And then that's almost what we're seeing play out now.
It is. And it happened in Greece as well.
Yeah.
And what happens is democracies tend to succeed historically, we see, but then that requires that democracy to flourish requires a certain amount of citizen responsibility. You're knowledgeable, you're engaged, you're functioning in a servant role. You know what I'm saying? You're working it. But as you succeed, your opulence or your affluenza, you start unplugging a couple generations later.
Yep.
Third and fourth generation. And funny, you see it in the biblical text as well. That third and fourth generation, it just seems to be almost a cycle of disengagement, if not corruption.
Yeah.
That unravels the whole thing.
Yeah. And so that citizenry that you're talking about, my frustration that I'm experiencing with all this painting of Elon, of Tesla cars and all this stupidity that we're seeing right now is, I mean, think about what he's given up to go be a citizen servant. Think about what Trump gave up. He didn't have to do it. David Sachs, who's there, he's a multi-billionaire. There's no telling what he had to divest, because you can't go serve in those positions and keep your investment in things that could potentially impact or bias your
Right.
decision. So you have to liquidate certain parts of your portfolio. So these guys gave up luxurious lives where they, they're not making decisions for themselves to enrich themselves. They're already part of the richest group in the world, Elon specifically. And so he's, doing this to try to help our country. And then the payback that he gets is, well, let's just try to tank his company. And the other option that we have is an 85-year-old who's been in politics since he was 25. And,
Exactly. The epitome of establishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, that's the thing that is frustrating, is because I see a new hope of citizenry, but I feel like a lot of people are just shitting all over it instead of at least trying to appreciate it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Truth is, our founding fathers were more the stripe of where Trump and Elon were.
100%.
They had to ignore a lot of their own business interests to take care of the country. And sometimes at the low ebb of their health and life was spent, there. They didn't go back to this place of wealth.
Well, and then the near demise of just authentic, objective journalism to let people make up their own mind about the facts. Just give us the facts.
Yeah.
Everyone with the algorithm, I know we're almost circling around a couple different topics we've had at different times, and it's good, but an outrage culture, everyone has their own separate facts, and no one wants to come to the table and really dialogue anymore as to what is best. And that's, to me, what hits me is the tension in this particular topic we're talking about.
Yeah.
Is I agree. I've talked to my wife about it a bunch. It's like, hey, man, it's like, we got to do some things. We got to do something about these things. But at the same time, it's like, if it's dictatorial or we're pushing it through too fast, too soon, there's a lot of harm that's caused with it as well.
Yeah.
And
I think, we talk about unbiased journalism, but back to the founding fathers, the Federalist Papers and all these pseudonyms and the stuff that they were writing that was so incendiary and overblown. And I mean, they had to do Samuel Jackson bluster and hyperbole to get action out of the masses. I think we're seeing a little bit of that too.
yeah.
Again. And maybe it's necessary,
So let me give you a couple more statistics for us to chew on. So according to Google Gemini, in 23, at the end of 23, there were 47.8 million immigrants in the United States at that time.
Of varying status?
Yes. 14% of those, that represented 14% of the total population. Nearly 3/4 of these immigrants were here legally, and then more than half are naturalized citizens. Mexico is the top country of origins for immigrants in the United States. Then the latest statistic is talking about border encounters. In the first full month of after President Trump passed his law, where that was where he struck down Biden's executive order and then put his in place, U.S. Border Patrol recorded the lowest nationwide average of apprehensions in CBP history, with approximately 330 per day. The southwest border apprehensions plummeted to less than 300 per day. That was a 71% decrease from January.
You think people just said, well, what's the use? If I make it in, I'm going to get deported anyway or something? In other
Possibly.
words, they didn't make the attempt because of the...
Possibly, but get this. There was a 71% decrease from January of 25 to March of 25, and it was a 94% decrease from February of 24. And that's illegal border encounters.
So, I mean, the first thing that had
Yeah.
to happen was seal the borders, get back to legal. I mean, so it's one thing to come, repair everything that's been done. But look, I mean, going forward, at least we can fix that. Like
Yes.
now, do it.
And then the last statistic is if we would have stayed on pace for Biden's numbers, the amount of immigrants in country by 2040 would be 82 million. So it would have doubled
Right.
in only 20 years from what it was.
That we are a country of immigrants, but with that much influx of immigration, uncontrolled practically, right, is destabilizing to a culture. I mean, I personally believe in America that should be open, possibly open to all. We can't take the whole world, right, at any one moment, but there is a way to try and come into this country. I believe in that. I think it's good, but controlled with laws. But if you just open the floodgates based on these statistics that you're talking about massive destabilization in a world driven by social media, algorithms. It makes one wonder what foreign national interests are in that as well to continue to destabilize our country. And I think that's something that totally gets missed is the wars of the modern era are not always with laser guided munitions.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's ways of trying to destabilize our economy, destabilize a sense of national identity, get each American fighting against each other. I'm trying to remember what it was. There was a statistic back during Trump won. They did a deep dive into the number one Christian sites. I think it was like the top 20, and 80% of them were bot farms controlled by foreign national interest as they dug into it.
Yeah.
Christian, supposedly Christian.
Yeah.
And it's not one living Christian or a group of Christians in our country running that. It's actually a front, like what you would call a psyop. It's a psychological operation to create distress, to create, they're posting their inflammatory stuff to just keep stuff stirred up. What does that have to do with immigration? The floodgates are also open, and come open even further after that time to keep things destabilized. And I'm not in any way preaching for some unified identity around one ethnicity, but just the idea that we are Americans. We all, no matter what your skin color is, if you're here legally and appropriately, right?
Yeah.
Let's work together.
Yeah.
Let's make this place wonderful.
Yeah.
Because we work together in a place that's good and beneficial for all.
If that many people come in too, it, what does that do to the economy in the sense of diluting wealth? I don't know. What is part of the power of the United States is its actual wealth.
Yeah.
And that can be in generosity and gravitas. I mean, kindness, financial kindness to all kinds of countries, the power to defend itself. What happens when the economy starts getting diluted in such a way you lower your status financially. There's power in money.
Yeah. So another interesting statistic is, so we said there's about 50 million immigrants in America right now. Around 30 million Americans are on some form of assistance. So actually,
Immigrant or otherwise.
100 million are receiving some form of government assistance. 30 million people right now are on food stamps. So my concern is, it's very easy to throw out there that, okay, well, those people are in that situation because they don't want to work and they don't want to do this job, and then an immigrant would do that job. I feel like I hear that argument all the time. But I wonder if, like what you're talking about from the economics of it, what's the pull down on the system that is causing? So in other words, if we have to continually raise taxes, what that means is there's less there for business and commerce. So what that means is it becomes more and more difficult for businesses to pay a higher wage. So as we tax higher to support the welfare state, now what's happening is there's less dollars in the business. And so the business, it's harder for them to pay. What we saw during COVID is that a business can afford. When's the last time you heard anything about minimum wage?
Yeah.
You hadn't heard anything about it because through COVID and through inflation, they were forced to pay higher. And guess what? Everybody's still making money.
Yeah.
So there is a way for this economy to be able to come up and support itself. And I think it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, to fully see how much illegal immigration is pulling down because it's spider webs and it starts to impact
and it stresses the whole system.
Correct.
Because there's so many in here unregulated or
you can't assume that all of that government subsidy. I mean, you'd have to do a dissection of all of that to figure out, well, what is that all about? Who's getting that? I mean, is it immigrants at all? Or is this just this segment of our society that some of which are, don't want to work, or is it, what is that? You know what I mean? To really attach that number to immigration, I don't know.
And I'm not disagreeing. I'm not saying that I disagree with that. I'm just saying, like, even if you take RFK's point about the SNAP program and like sodas, for example. So if the number one, and because they actually can pull the metrics. If you're on the food stamp SNAP program, they can actually pull the data of what you're buying.
So they're buying soda.
Yeah. So around 50, according to RFK, I haven't checked his numbers on this, but I've heard him say it multiple times. And I feel like as much as he's saying it, it's got to be at least close to the truth. Yeah. That it's somewhere around 40 to 50% of all SNAP money goes to sodas.
Wow.
And so one of the things that his point is that, what that is doing is childhood diabetes is at all-time high, right? And so we are creating within that welfare state, we're creating something that if they're on that program,
we got a health problem. Yeah.
Well, if they're on that program, now they have to be on Medicaid because and now if they're diabetic, they have to get insulin. So what's one of the most expensive things that kids have to get on for drugs is insulin. And what the government refused to do, forever, they refused to come out about big pharma and force them to bring the insulin price down. Now that's happening now, but that's because of RFK and the threats that they were making. So that's where some of that comes across. That's like, okay, if that is because mom and dad couldn't get a good job, or maybe the kids are drinking sodas because mom is working 3 jobs and she doesn't have, and it's not because she's not doing that because she's lazy. She's doing that because she's trying to do her best. Right. And maybe that's the result of being in that. And I'm just saying, I feel like the immigration aspect is costing us more than what we realize.
I agree. And so I just wanted to
rant over.
No, it's a great one. And I just wanted to look this up. And I want to say again that, I'm for immigration, but legal, for right. And something that our whole country in quantities that we can manage. So according to a recent study from the Center for Immigration Studies, CIS, a report from the Center for Immigration Studies, CIS, estimated that 59.4%, that's practically 60%, of households headed by undocumented immigrants utilize at least one major welfare program. So primarily through benefits received by their U.S.-born children.
69% of illegal. I want to make sure I hear that.
59.4% of households headed by an undocumented immigrant.
Okay, so an illegal.
Their children born in the U.S.,
yep.
They utilize at least one major welfare program through the benefits received through their U.S.-born children.
So Trump says there's 20 million illegal here. Most people push back on that and say it's more like 12 to 15.
Sure.
So let's even round it down further. Let's just say it's 10. So what that means is there's 6 million people, 6 million on some kind of program.
Right.
And then that's if they have one kid. If they have more than one kid, let's say they have 3, all 3 kids would then be on that program. So then it would be a multiple.
It's drawing considerable resources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm with you, and I am want to be sympathetic, empathetic, everything towards people who have done the right thing and are getting rolled up in this. But I feel like what's happening with the shock and awe approach is I think he genuinely wants people to be afraid to not do it the right way.
Yeah, and it serves as a wake-up call or a check and balance to the whole thing, and
It's
that's
a little
my
bit
conflict,
of,
you know.
yeah, it's a little bit of FAFO. You're going to fuck around and find out.
Sure.
Right. And so I realize that, again, I want to be sympathetic to that, but I don't know what, at this point, I don't know what else, I don't know what other choice we have to really stop. And I think that because he's got 2 years to get it right.
Yeah.
And I feel like if he gets it right for 2 years, then he's going to have 4 years because they'll keep the House and the Senate. And then I think you probably get another 4 years through Vance being elected. But he's got to prove that his formula works, and he doesn't have a lot of time to do it in.
Well, and the floodgates were open. Like when he
100%.
went into office, they're as wide open as they had ever been.
Yeah.
I think
they?
it's
What do
like
you mean there's-
just for illegal immigration, undocumented. The statistics that he read to us just a
It
second
was an
ago
easy
that
target, in other
that were
words.
under Biden. No, I mean something had to happen.
Yeah.
But it's like what I don't hear, and maybe I need to do some more. I probably, no doubt, need to do some more research. But it's like I'm not okay with good people who did everything right, you know, potentially losing their lives. All I mean is, how do we make that strong stand, and then the people who get swept up in it have a chance to say, "Hey, you know." Right.
ACLU.
We did this right. Let's make this right. I'm not hearing those stories yet. And you want to be a voice for the voiceless too. You know what I'm saying? And the people who have done things right can we do this better?
The ACLU, you know, threw the flag on that whole deal with the Venezuelan gang members that were, you know, deported, forcefully deported without really a trial by jury. And they threw the flag. I mean, say what you want about the ACLU, but there's somebody advocating, not just because these people, they think they're innocent, but the process in which they got deported could damage somebody who didn't need deported. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
there's
voices
some
are
of
there.
that. Yeah. And then I think these individual stories that are brought out, even though they are somewhat anecdotal and, you know, selective
Compared to the masses.
right.
Of the other,
At least that is, gives the whole empathetic look in the populace, so that there's not too much of this. But in large part, I mean, we had to course correct. I mean,
we have to, and we always, when we course correct, there's going to be, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's jarring.
Yeah.
It's disruptive.
Absolutely.
But it just breaks my heart, especially when I hear a couple with the, you know, people who are just, you know what I'm saying, come here. I mean, what would it be like if that was your
Oh
family?
my God, yeah.
Who you got here and you're in America and everything is yes, green light, it's legal, it's right. And you breathe this huge sigh of relief because you've gotten away from a horrible place. You got your family out.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're swept up in this need to course correct. Man, that's not,
I mean, I know
So let
families.
me tell you something that maybe you'll find this interesting. If you're going into Canada just to visit,
Yeah.
just going into Canada to visit,
Just did it recently.
do you know what the average American fears if they have on their record that would keep them from even being able to visit? I'm not talking about apply, visit Canada. You know what the most searched thing is?
Maple syrup?
No. A DUI.
Okay.
So if you have a DUI on your record, there's a high probability that Canada will send you back at the border
If they see your
if
have a
they see that
DUI.
you have it.
Yeah.
And all I'm getting, and I just
agree.
think, you know,
I'm actually with you right
But come
there.
on into the United States.
Other
you know.
countries are way more strict
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
than
going to
we
the UK.
are.
And you got to
And
fill out like 5 things and pay
Yeah.
for 6 extra things.
yeah.
I'm
And if
like,
you travel the world at all, I just don't get people losing. And the main people, you talked about the biased media.
yes.
the main meta narrative that's coming out
They're losing their mind.
is from politicians that I don't really trust.
Yeah.
Because they're so passionate about it, there's no way I trust their motives.
Right.
Like there is just
You think there's money behind it? I mean, they set their hair on fire.
I'm not going to make a wild guess on it. I'm just saying whether it's voter ballot manipulation, whether there's money behind it, whatever it is. It's like the Stacey Abrams deal where it came out that she was for whatever her nonprofit deal to help this or that. She got like a $4 million check from the Biden administration. I mean, you can speculate all you want around that. I'd rather not do it. I'm just saying that I don't trust them. Their passion it's too high. Like
it's clear that there's been enough moving or developing of a position that there's a political advantage to represent that group.
Yeah.
And so, you know what I'm saying, that's a power vacuum that people are going to want to be pulled into and champion that.
Yeah. And then I would second that with those are the same people who lose their minds when you say you have to have proof of identity to vote. True. So when you correlate those two and then you tie in the sanctuary cities and you look at the voting demographics, I just don't feel like
they correlate
that when they're saying that it's
not
really about the
behind it.
immigrant as much as it is about a strategy for their
power base.
for their party. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And I just, I'm with you, Royce. I feel like, I mean, I've got several friends in Madisonville who are immigrants. Like they're
amazing people.
They haven't been here very, very long at all.
Yeah.
And they're fantastic. I mean, they're buddies.
Yeah.
And they're kind of in your camp a little bit. Like they're not pissed at, they're actually Trump. I mean, I see them with Trump hats on. So it's like what they're saying is what happened the previous 4 years is screwing it up for everybody who has done it the right way.
Yep.
And one of the groups of guys works for a friend of mine, and they have work visas where they're here for a certain amount of time and then they go home. But while they're here, man, they live off the simplest means because they're here actually making their year's worth of money in a period of months, and that supports their family for a year, and they make it in probably three or 4 months. And so that pisses me off to see them have to worry about that.
Right.
If we're defending, people who may get swept up in some of this shock and awe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then just that general fear and distress that sweeps through, people who suddenly don't feel secure.
Yeah. And the anxiety that comes with all that.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, you said, I think I heard you say that there were some pastors who had some people in their congregation that had been sent back.
Yeah, I was just following, I won't use any names, but a pastor in the Indiana area had a wonderful family that was asylumed here from Africa.
That was going to be my question, was asylumed. That was their selection for entering the country.
I believe so. Okay. Yeah, they were practically political refugees from a conflict in Africa. And their whole family was in danger, and they were thankfully and fortunately accepted into this country. And that's that's the ideal of what America should be.
Yeah.
And they have been deported in the midst of all this.
And
their lives are in danger there if that faction, knows they're back in country.
Yeah. And is there any chance that there was something else that maybe the pastor didn't know that the government knew?
It possibly, again, I'm only following his post, but his advocation for them and his pleading and trying to bring awareness to it. He seems to be pretty aware of things, but of course I can't know for sure.
Yeah.
But his advocacy for them is that they've been here for years.
Yeah. Okay. So
they didn't just get here.
This has been a minute.
They've been here for years, and it's almost like their ticket gets pulled in the midst of kind of a thread. When you pull a thread, it's like, brrr, and this family just gets yanked into the midst of it for whatever way they're allocating for some of this stuff. And it really, for everyone involved that's watching this, it feels so nonsensical, so tragic. Like they have been abiding citizens contributing. Yeah. They're paragons of goodness in their community.
Yeah.
And
so the one thing I would like to see out of all this is I really would like constituents to push back. And like, if we want to have a conversation about it, I'm fine having a conversation. Sure. But if you've been in office for, 4 or more years and you haven't done anything to push a bill or try to get something done, before I have a conversation with you about whether do I support what President Trump is doing or not, we need to have a conversation about what the heck you've done in the last 4 to 8, 10, 12 years or whatever to make a difference on it. Or are you just sitting back pointing a finger at whoever the opposite party is and blaming them?
That's an outrage addiction.
Yeah. 100%.
And if we want our country to be great, we've got to get back to being a hardworking citizenry.
Yeah.
Not just hardworking for our families, but for the country. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's work together and work for. That's what made the Greeks great, made Rome great before the late stage democracy was their undoing.
All right. So let's wind it down with this. Do you believe that it's time for an overall reset with who our politicians are? So we've got a pretty good group of people in office that are in their 70s and have been in there for like 3 decades.
Term limits.
So how much of this is systemic and problematic from that?
A lot.
Yeah, and what can we do to change that?
Well, I think there's a lot of disruption happening right now, in a sense of resetting. But yeah, I don't think America works great on career politicians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another hope that I have for while Trump is in office, that there's enough disdain and distaste that we can get term limits passed now.
Yeah. I love the idea.
Because I think it can be, if it could ever be done, I think it can be done in the next 24 months.
Yeah, we've seen great stories come out of people who are lifted from the business world and temporarily serve in government, do good. They didn't come there for a paycheck. They came there out of goodwill, and they had some practical sense of what needed to happen. Career politicians become ostensibly lobbyists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I don't think the founding fathers ever imagined someone making a career of any of these offices.
Yeah. I don't think there was any way that they would even consider that
could have happened,
especially given what Washington did,
right,
to voluntarily step down.
Yeah, the idea was local people, hardworking people, were willing to commit time to serve for a period of time, do what good they could, and let that system play out. But again, with anything,
the founding fathers were essentially bivocational.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was never this idea of
not essentially. They were 100% bivocational. Yeah, they were just, like we talked about Washington earlier today, and some of those guys were individually wealthy, but still they weren't getting anything back from the government to do what they were doing.
Back
they
then,
were doing
I took
it all
some
out
horse
of their own
rides
pocket.
with some of them to the Continental Congress.
Yeah. What was it like?
Through the snow.
I mean, what was your conversations like with Paul Revere?
It was pretty interesting.
Seriously, what was
we talked about metallurgy a lot.
He was the one that put the light in the North Church.
Yeah, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Right.
Paul Cook and Paul Revere.
Paul Revere leaned over to Paul Cook and he
one
said,
day
he goes,
this will be,
hang this up there, young fella.
I said, one of these days, this is going to be an LED.
One of these days, this will no longer be gaslit.
Right. I mean, even one time I heard that he leaned over to Paul and he was like, "You say it this time," and Paul Cook said, "The British are coming."
The British are coming.
I mean, what was that like?
Hey, listen, you know what I just flashed in my mind?
What did you
with
flash?
That beard? If we could get him one of those wigs like they used to wear back in the day.
Like the George Washington wig.
Yeah, I think season.
When I wore that at the Continental Congress, I'm glad they didn't have photography back then.
I think season 4, you need to break out your outfit from the Continental Congress and wear it the entire season.
Let it be known, let it be heard.
Yes,
that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and speaking old English.
Hear ye, hear ye.
This is not going to happen. Let it be known. Let it be heard.
All right. Well, let's end it with a commission to be a misfit and push your local politicians to be a misfit. Grow a set, be a misfit, and lead in change.
Yeah, get involved in healthy, productive ways.
Yeah.
Care. Like not just sit back on our couches and critique it, but like what can you do at whatever level you can do it to just, I want to put good into the world.
Yeah.
And I want to see some good things happen and bring people together. Don't foster the polarity.
Right.
Find common ground with someone who might think different than you. Be surprised what you actually have in common. And I tell you what'll get people's attention. You get two people that most people realize are on different sides of something working together for a common good.
Yep.
You're going to even get more momentum
100%.
if you can do that.
100%.
It takes courage.
Yeah. So, as Dr. Laura Schlesinger would say,
Yeah.
now go do the right thing. It's good to have you, boys. Love you.